just love bees. They're pretty cool, that's for sure. I just wonder how they spend their day. Well, you see, they all live in a colony, and then the worker bees all serve one queen bee, and they go off each day and collect nectar and bring it back to the hive, where it's stored in hexagonal cones, and then it's made honey.
Yeah, I know that. I was just wondering what they do for fun.
Well, it's a well-known fact that most bees like to form a band and sing.
Through the sky with a butterfly and give a caterpillar lots of high fives. I'm a busy, busy bee. Busy buzzing is a favorite thing for me. Racing off to flowers and then back to the hive, counting everyone as I go by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be a busy, busy bee. Busy buzzing all around so happily. Fly up high, fly down low. Buzzing everywhere we go. Busy bee. One flower to another flower, hop, jump, skip, picking up some tasty nectar on my trip. Nectar helps us to make honey yummy and sweet, and each flower special for this tasty treat. Get up on your feet, be a busy bee. Busy buzzing all around so happily. Fly up high, fly down low. Buzzing everywhere we go. Buzzed by a ladybug as we go. Past a hopping grasshopper, get real low. Dance through the sky with a butterfly, and give a caterpillar lots of high fives. All right, let's do the busy buzzy boogie. The busy buzzy boogie. Busy buzzy bee. Busy buzzy bees would rather fly than walk, and do the busy buzzy boogie cause it helps us talk. Do a wiggle and a waggle and then spin around, and move your wings real fast to make that buzzing sound. Lift up off the ground. Be a busy bee. Busy buzzing all around so happily. Fly up high, fly down low. Busy buzzing everywhere we go. Busy buzzing all around so happily. Fly up high, fly down low. Busy buzzing everywhere we go. Be a busy bee.